I think page 51. It's not even, when you print it, it's not even that readable. So yeah, we'll remake that for the next time, because I don't know why they highlighted that specific stuff. You can't really. Yeah, well, that's true, because it's a change. Okay, Bob?
Yeah, to point out, if you're familiar with the old section 10 about reimbursement, it has been completely rewritten. So
That's why the whole thing's highlighted. I got you, yes.
completely rewritten.
The entire section 10 is highlighted.
A lot of the old codes have been collapsed into code B, and this RFC is a new code. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, let me get this PowerPoint off of here, and we'll get maybe, oh no, I just reopened it. Hello, okay. Her mouse is so touchy. Okay, let's just do a reimbursement here, and then that way you guys can see it, and we'll go through the new pre-approval also, and I'll save it, then we'll delete it. Okay, so we're going to do a new reimbursement. We're going to select the job that she's actually here for. And once you find the job that you're here for, you would click, let me go back to that. You would click on your assignment number.
Move your screen.
Let me move my screen over. I can't see that, so.
That's good.
It's good? Okay. Okay, so I'm in new reimbursement. I'm clicking on Administration Specialist of Rita, because that's why she's here. We're going to put in some mileage. Maybe. Rita, how far are you from your home? How far did you travel?
The total mileage are probably going to be 76.
76? Okay. So everything up here is looking good. We're going to leave it as itemized right here in this reimbursement type. We're going to add a line. It's not going to run very fast, but we'll get it there. Okay, expense date. I came on, what day did you come, Rita?
Monday.
Monday the 15th. Program code, TaxAide. State meeting. I like to type in a description so when I go back I know exactly what it was for, and I usually put to and from. So for me it would be from Utah or from Wyoming to Utah and return. Or you can write just, you know, your trip to Salem. However you want to write your description, that's up to you. It kind of helps Bob though keep on track, I think, doesn't it, Bob, to when you can see them. And we'll just type right in there. Okay. Oops, add. Okay. Salem and back. And what did you say, 76?
Right.
Our mileage rate this year, 54.5. And our total miles is 76. And I typically will just do this after I am done with my trip.
Sarah?
Yes, sir.
On the drop down with mileage rate. I know some of you do not take the full mileage rate. It is your choice. So if you do that, thank you for giving back in another way. I see that a lot, and I see that for a lot of our volunteers. They don't take the full 54, they'll take a smaller number. It's your choice.
Can I ask Bob a question about that though? If we do not use the mileage rate of 54.5 and we're quote unquote giving back, does that take away from our regional funds for the next year? Do we lose it?
This doesn't have anything to do with it.
It all goes out of national?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Well, The answer is yes and no, but I don't want to, it's not worth spending the time on it because the delta there is so insignificant in terms of our regional budget. I would not be concerned about it one way or the other.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And you usually just do for the whole trip, you don't do,
I do.
You can do it that way.
You can do it either, right?
You can do it either way.
I do it too, and then if there's something in between, I'll put the meal or whatever, and then the from.
Yes, you can add lines
I'm
into
free
it.
to-
That's both ways. It seems to care one way or the other.
Once I've gotten this far,
That's
it's
why
gonna
the 20
tabulate,
bucks is
calculate
okay.
it for it'll do it for us, so we can just click on this save icon.
You missed the field funding code.
No, that's automatically filled in. When you
Yes.
select your assignment, the funding code gets automatic.
See that
It's
up
off
here?
to the right.
It's up
Yeah.
here at the
Okay.
top, and we used to have to do it.
Okay.
But now it's
That's-
attached to our assignment. That's why we want to make sure our assignment is correct.
Okay.
That's a real one.
Yes.
Yeah, because people are always getting the wrong funding.
The fact that I can't see Rita because I'm not her supervisor?
Yes. So,
I can't see her reimbursements.
Why don't you just do your own? I just did my own.
yeah, yeah, do yours. Don't do Rita's. She'll end up with 50 on there and go, what did I do? Okay, so now you can see that her mileage amount is in there. Yes, Bob?
Yeah, can you go back up yet?
To the funding code area?
Another description, under funding code.
Oh.
That is not a required field any longer.
It used to be.
It used to be. The only time that I think it really makes any difference is if you, like, attending several meetings, like Sarah is. I would like her to put attending Oregon meeting. You know, but if you're just attending this one meeting, I don't know if Bob really cares whether that gets filled in.
Doesn't look like he cares.
He just goes in
But
and
it's
hits
not a
okay.
required field.
And once you save that item here on this line item, you can see it popped in this funding code over here for administration specialist under federal grants. Yes.
Seems like we used, I don't know if we still do, we had to list every single trip separately.
Yes.
We still have to do that?
Yes. So like if you're going to do counseling, is that what you mean? Or like, yes, so you may end up with 40 different lines.
Can I paste an Excel spreadsheet in somehow to get that?
But no, but you can use this clone tool right here. This will create the next line for you, and all you have to do is change the date, especially if you're going the same amount of mileage. So this tool here, and I'm going to click on it right now, will create a duplicate record.
And just change
And
the
so that will be helpful in your route there because, and then you can just change out your date.
You gotta click on the pencil.
Oh, so yeah, you gotta edit. So this, after you click on the clone tool, because I've already saved this, I need to click edit line item. And then I can change my date to say the next day. And then I would, of course, any changes that you make, you have to save. It's just like anything else. You save it, you save it, you save it. And I like the old floppy disk, like we even have those anymore.
And also, you can then save, you don't have to submit it right away, you can save.
Right, we're gonna
That's
get
right.
to that.
So,
Yes, so,
because in the past, I've always kept my own Excel spreadsheet and then copied it all over.
mhm.
And this year I thought, oh, I should just do it directly in here.
So that's what I try to do. I put my submissions in. I shouldn't say submissions. I put my lines in and I don't submit it. I just save it, and we'll get down to that. And
Yeah.
that'll show you that you can save it on there and you don't have to,
The only thing I
You
don't
could
like
do it all
when
the
you do a
time.
save and
I
come back
saved
is
it, but I
sometimes they
don't know
put
how to
them
get
out
back
of
to it.
order.
yeah. Is it date-based after we, I
Well,
think
no,
it is.
because you'll go in there and find one date above the other and it's mixed up and it bothers me.
Oh, so it's amount maybe? I can't remember what it's sorted by.
I think it's sort of by submitted date, so it's way at the bottom, but then you can click to turn it.
I have trouble finding them.
And this is kind of nice at the top. You can see how much money she would get back for that. And this is the 2 trips that she took back to back to here. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete one of these in case she really does want to just keep this one on here. So I'm going to delete this one here because I got an error in my code. Sometimes it's not worth editing. It's worth just starting over because you're like, okay, I've got it all wrong. It's not even right. I'll just start that part over. Now as you go down,
Sarah,
yes.
one thing that's really important for you as you work with your volunteers, you have volunteers that work in multiple sites, right? They can't just say, I have one reimbursement for all of my sites. That doesn't work. You have to go to each specific site. So when Don goes to Wilsonville and works at that site as a counselor, he submits a reimbursement as a counselor at Wilsonville.
Seems a little redundant, but I understand why. Okay, so attachments. For mileage, we do not need an attachment, do we? Pretty sure we've seen you here, and your supervisor will know you were here or not. What do you need an attachment for? Foods of any type, if you're supplies. Anything else besides mileage, you have to have a receipt. And what they do like is that you scan one receipt at a time. Is that correct, Bob? Guess it depends on the person. I've seen them in pages.
I've done them all on one page.
I've seen that. I guess that depends
I
on
don't know
what.
that it makes any difference. I see it done all kinds of ways, as long as I can open it up and check to make, confirm that there's a receipt for every non-mileage charge. I don't really care, and I submit it. Nobody's ever told me I shouldn't be doing it.
Well, and it's really nice on a scanner when you can just throw them all down, shut the lid and scan it.
One of the things that's really helpful, some of you guys go like the Staples and you get the super duper discount or the blue light special or whatever, and they send you a receipt that's about 4 feet long, and it says that, the price was $300 and you actually paid $2.75. You can just circle the 275 or whatever the number is that you paid rather than otherwise. God, it's a nightmare to go through that. So make it easy on yourself, guys.
I was so.
Charles?
I just want to clarify for the new people, because I run into this issue, that when you do a mileage reimbursement, don't put in the amount, don't calculate the amount, put it in, and
No.
you have to do either or.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not clear when you look at that line.
Okay, so if you didn't hear what he said, you need to make sure you're only putting in the amount of miles or the amount of mileage that you. It's just the easiest thing is just put in the miles and let it calculate itself, but some people like to calculate it, so you have to put one or the other, not both. It'll cause an error. Yes?
Clarification, we have a gentleman that rides his bike to the center. No mileage.
That's good to know.
So I can't
Or-
charge
or
us
is
any-
What if he's buying fuel for his body? I mean, is that
See, is there a federal rate, mileage rate for bicycle use?
And honestly,
Maintenance and-
there should be maybe, huh?
You know,
He's got to buy
10 cents a
tires and
mile.
such.
What happens if you lose a receipt? You're out of luck?
That's up to your supervisor. I mean, really, I feel like it, yeah, but one of the things that I like to do is the minute that I get a receipt, I have my phone usually with me. I just snap a picture of it right when I get it, and then I throw it in my purse and lose it later. So, that's a good way to start doing it, especially if you know you're buying products for this, site. So,
Now, it was postage, and she lost the receipt.
was it a lot, and can
The
she?
roll.
Oh.
Oh, so
$49.
she should be able to go back to that post office and get a a receipt from them.
Is that reimbursable
Postage?
Postage?
It used to be.
for stamps?
Right now, should be.
That's
Depends
a,
what the purpose is.
Yeah.
See, section 10.
If
Not
I were a
mailing
supervisor.
returns back to people, it's not.
Well, and I noticed that they listed envelopes next to paper, and they told us a long time ago we couldn't get reimbursed for our envelopes, and I haven't been submitting them.
And
Okay.
staplers are on there now.
Okay.
and staplers were never on there before. We couldn't get reimbursement for that, so.
Okay, so I got some receipts for my envelopes.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's on the list in section 10 and highlighted, you can get it now. And somebody did just mention there's staples on there, or staplers, which before we couldn't get. Envelopes, I know some of you guys have been just taken from your house or paying for it. I was told when I first started paper, I had to buy my own paper. My husband said, "Why are you paying for things to volunteer?" I said, "I don't know, I just gotta do it." That was not true. Our just state was not. That was a cheap SC. Bless him. Okay.
Oh.
Not Bob. No Bob. Okay, once we have an attachment, so how do you guys get it to here? Well, I do a couple of things. If I took a picture on my phone, I email it to myself off my phone because it's smarter than me. And so I take my phone and email it to myself, and then I pull it up on my computer. Some people do it right, scan it right to the computer that they're on, and that's when they submit it. That's probably the easiest. Then they just have to search for their file, which I won't go into her files, but once you select this and look for the picture, try to make sure that it's under 25 megabytes or it won't work. I've only had that happen once. So that's a pretty big picture.
That's a pretty big picture.
Big receipt.
Yes, really.
Well, now
I always scan to a PDF.
You take your iPhone 10.
Yeah, you shouldn't have a problem if you do PDF, for sure. Once we've gotten this far, we want to select this box so we can move on. That's only if we're submitting. If we're just saving, we do not have to select the check box here. And the only thing this tells you is that you have to have worked a minimum of 40 hours. This says excluding training and travel time. So I'm sure that even excluding training and travel time, you guys have done that. Even just on your own, getting ready for things, prepping, teaching, I know you guys have done that. And that's an annual amount. So we've all way worked over more than 40 for this year.
Yeah.
That resets at the beginning of the year, is that right, Bob?
That's right.
January to
Calendar year.
January? Or is it
I think it's
October
October
30th?
1st.
What is the logic of excluding training time?
Because if you didn't actually
Well,
work.
the logic on that is it's the IRS grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
The IRS says that's what it's gonna be, so that's the long and short answer.
And it's a pleasure, right?
Well, just because they're trained doesn't mean they're gonna volunteer.
That's
right.
very true.
That's it.
Okay, so then once we're to this point, we're going to save this. So if I click on save, it's going to take its sweet little time. And it's going to create this for me. So now I'm going to return to my reimbursement list so I can find it.
Wait a second, wait a second.
Yes.
Why did it disappear from the,
State.
It's not submitted.
no, can you slide down a little bit?
Mhm.
See, it's still there. It should disappear when you
It
say
should.
it.
Uh-uh.
No, it doesn't.
No,
Oh,
it
no,
shouldn't
it's
disappear.
saved. No,
It shouldn't disappear.
No,
Watch,
that
I'll do
one-
it again, watch.
Okay.
Because we're still in the record, I think that's why
Okay,
it
because
hasn't
mine,
moved.
when I did that, it disappeared.
Okay,
Well,
so,
then you must have submitted it.
No, I know, no, I did not submit it, I saved it, and it took me a while to figure out how to get back to it because it disappeared.
Okay,
I had to
well,
go back
it's-
out and come back in.
I don't know why yours did that. Mine, I don't think mine ever does that.
Was it a-
Okay, so I clicked on return to reimbursement list. And see how many people are here? Wow, should we go look for mine in that? No. But how about we go to my reimbursements on the drop down under the view? So once I've saved it, it's going to be under my reimbursements. It's going to be under all these lists, probably not, well, I shouldn't say all of it, because there's pre-approvals, there's,
But my reimbursements shows every counselor that's under me.
Yep, sure does.
Yeah.
and that means you're going to have to find yours.
Yep.
And sometimes they're, like you said, not in order, because look where it's
Not by date.
at the very bottom instead of the very top.
But I found if you back up at the top,
Okay,
under, see right where it says reimbursement ID?
Yeah,
and
if you
that little
click
arrow,
that.
Click on that.
okay, so
it'll-
she's saying
Just
if you
click
sort
that.
it
Yep.
by a different ID.
If you sort it by the largest reimbursement ID first, that'll be the most recent one.
Or you can.
Well, I would sort it by status because it's not
Or
submitted.
submitted date.
Any way that you find it is fine, as long as you find it. Okay, I want to go back into it, so I'm
I
going to
also
click
don't
right
like
on
the fact
this.
that it's got 16 years worth of stuff in it.
Yeah.
So before you do that, so up here you have the same issue. Is this a bug that when you first get into this menu, it creates a dummy reimbursement with zero amount and you don't?
No, that was probably something.
No, I did. That happened to me just now.
So
I think it's
everybody
actually
has
saved to your
a
line.
not submitted 01?
Right.
Nope.
No, I did.
Nope.
No, I don't
I
have one.
never
Mine
had
has not
that.
submitted
So
with
you
an
didn't
amount.
put any mileage in there or anything else?
I
That's
didn't do
because
any-
you went and
I
looked
went
at
in to
it.
create a new one,
Came back out and got a new one, got a new.
and then when I went out, 2 of them were created.
Anytime you go in and try to start one, if you don't finish it, it comes up zero.
Right, so it might automatically save one for you. Pete?
I have a bunch of them that say, schedule for payment. Is there ever a point where it says paid?
No.
Okay.
So it doesn't say paved after, and we can look at hers here, where they say scheduled for payment, and it'll show you the date.
That's
So-
when they paid you, but presumably they did.
Yes,
Presumably
and
they were paid.
if you're direct deposit, these are fast. They get
Yeah.
them right back to you anymore. You're not waiting in them for a check. And you can, okay, yeah, sometimes they get right back to you, but most of the time, there's been an issue lately. And I haven't had that problem, so hopefully I don't. Okay, so I'm going to click right back onto the reimbursement to get back into it. And then I can add in my dinner last night. Because I had steak and lobster.
Is there a time frame? I noticed you said that the budget is October to September. So expenses in September have to be submitted by the end
Well,
of
not-
September?
I'll talk about that.
Okay, good. And
It's one of my slides.
good. I don't have to talk about it, so I don't have to tell you, but my rule of thumb is to get it in as quick as I can so that I don't forget it.
Yeah.
Because it'll be out of my mind. Okay, I'm going to do my dinner last night. I'm just doing we're going through the same thing
Hold it, you
here.
made me pick up the check.
Best dinner I ever had.
Well, that's an interesting question. If you're at dinner with you and her, you're
Yeah.
obviously her superior. I know
Yes.
when I did corporation tax return, expense reports, the senior party at the dinner was required to pick up.
And that's our policy.
Yeah.
Our policy states that whoever has the highest seniority would have to
The
buy.
highest on the, not seniority, the
Oh.
highest on the org chart.
Yes,
highest
okay.
You have a
organization.
list of the people
Yes.
back for the dinner that we had the other night, the barbecue. I have to list every name of every person who is there
Right.
by title
Oh,
and function.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good to know.
fun list.
I don't remember doing that when I picked up a tab for my 3 instructors. I might have put their names down.
You had the names down, I got the other
Oh,
pieces.
okay.
Okay, so as I'm adding a line here, I'm just going to say food. Obviously, we don't need to select the mileage rate or the miles, unless we drove to Vegas for dinner, which we did not.
Well, in fact, if you put mileage in for dinner, you would have to have a separate line. You cannot have mileage and say meals on the same line. It will not let you do that.
Okay, did you guys hear that?
No.
Let's say that you had to go out of the area to hit dinner, and you had mileage associated with it here. You would have to do a separate line for mileage. You cannot add the mileage in right here. It will not work. So you do one for your food receipt and you do one for your mileage receipt. Most of the time you won't have that happen. And nothing for your alcohol. That should be a separate receipt, which I just learned. So, separate receipt. You pay for your own alcohol on anything for AARP. Okay, I'm going to save this also. And I want to submit this, but I'm really not. So in order to do that, I have to verify and submit, and you might want to read that disclaimer. And then you would just click on the submit for approval.
Click it.
No,
Unclick the checkbox.
I won't click
It
it.
doesn't have her receipt in there.
I don't, and this isn't real. This is,
Right.
so this is my,
Another receipt.
yeah, it's not even mine, so read it. I won't do it.
Unclick the checkbox.
Okay.
Safety features.
It is
Yes.
kind of nice. That keeps you from submitting it, so don't select the checkbox until you're done. I've done both. It still works to save. You'll have to just go in and do it again, so. Okay, any questions on that portion? Ooh, everybody's quiet. Oh,
So, this is more for Bob, but so can we put the state meeting and then some other, like district coordinator meetings on the same reimbursement, as long as it's under the same?
as long as you have the assignment role, then it's fine, yes.
One other things you need to know about as leaders, you're gonna, at some point, at the end of the year, you're gonna have an opportunity to do flat rate, you can do a flat rate submission. You have a counselor that says, oh yeah, I'll take a flat rate. And then a week later, they say, oh, really? I could have gotten mileage? Once
can't
they
do
have
both.
The flat rate, they have the flat rate, so that they go into the portal and try to do the mileage submission, that ain't gonna fly. No second chances to make a decision.
So, flat rate or mileage, not both.
It also works the other way. If you, as a coordinator by paper, you're not able to take flat rate mileage.
Right. Well, that's not true. You could take the flat rate, but you couldn't do mileage down the road. Is that true, Bob?
Didn't used to be.
This is, some of this has changed, and some of what I just heard is no longer accurate. And I confess I can't remember all the nuances. Again, it's in section 10. But you can take the flat rate, mark, and then, say you're an LC. You take the flat rate for mileage, and then we say, go out and buy some paper. You can do that, that's fine. You cannot, let's see, or, for example, let's assume you are a DC and you take the flat rate for mileage, $50, and then the next day, Bob calls you up and says, you know, I really need you to be on the state management team. I need you to come to this meeting. And you're thinking, well, I can't, I'm not going to drive 200 miles one way on my $50. There is now a provision that with Bob's approval, you can do that. I mean, you can put in a second mileage request. You can't reverse it. You can't take itemized mileage and then say, oh, by the way, I'd like my $50. That you can't do. Or you can't, and there's some other nuances in there, but again, it's changed since last season. And so I'm not the least bit surprised that there's some misunderstanding of the current rules. So anyway, probably, I don't really want to spend time going through all the details.
No.
Just know that it's there.
We do not,
It's changed.
we're telling you, we do not want to go through the policies and procedures manual, because we would need more coffee and, just kidding.
The question just occurred to me, however. If I, as district coordinator, have been, like, that's when I started this one just now, this mileage expense thing. But then there's some days that I'm just a counselor. That's a separate form? I have to start a new reimbursement for the counselor.
Based under the assignment as a counselor.
Right.
Yeah, because it's a different assignment.
Right.
So I could potentially have 3 or 4 expense statements go in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, did you guys hear her?
You can't supervise people.
If she's talking about putting in more than one reimbursement for a different hat. And I've never done it, but
I haven't either.
I feel like that's kind of double dipping on what Pete just said.
No. That's what, I mean, if I'm.
I agree, but, and did you ask and what was the answer to?
About just one flat rate.
So you're allowed one flat rate per volunteer? What if they volunteer at other sites?
Last year I was told that
I'm not talking
one, no, it's not, it's a different question.
It is.
But last year I was told it was just one flat rate per volunteer.
Yes,
Then
that's
that
what I was
was
told.
not per site.
That's what I was told. So one
Is that correct?
flat rate
If you
per
work in
volunteer.
4 sites, or say 2 sites, just pick one to charge the $50 to.
Yeah. But then, Kathy had a different question.
Kathy, what was your question?
So I'm claiming mileage.
I did.
Now, I think in the past, though, I've just done it under district coordinator, and then in the description written counseling or site coordinating or something like that, whatever the activity was, but I think I always used my title. Would you prefer that I do multiple?
AARP would prefer you put them underneath
The category that I'm doing
It
that day.
has to be under the
That
assignment
is another thing that is.
number.
We're keeping the bookkeepers happy.
So, well, not just the bookkeepers.
It's for the
we're keeping
funding.
the IRS happy.
Yes, that
Which
too.
we obviously
That has to do with
keep
the
them
grant.
happy.
So just to clarify.
So the answer is, yeah, you may have.
So if I'm in charge of the site that day,
The local coordinator.
then am I doing it under my ERO category, my counseling category, my?
You're under
Well,
your
you're
site coordinator
counseling, right?
category.
What's the primary purpose of your being there?
I'm in charge of the site and I'm gonna ultimately file the returns.
So you're a counselor, right?
No.
No,
I
she's
would
a site
say-
coordinator.
ERO or site
I would
coordinator.
She's a
say
site
that's a
coordinator.
B, coordinator.
You're,
Yes,
that's
not
a
mine.
coordinator.
Coordinating.
Yes, so
Coordinator.
the assignment would be your site coordinator assignment, and the mileage would be a B.
I don't think I have a site coordinator assignment, I think I just have an ERO.
You have a local coordinator site?
No, I have district coordinator.
And if you don't have your assignment that you're under, then you need to speak with Rita, and she can fix that up for you. Charles?
So just to clarify, since I am a DC and a counselor, if I claim mileage for things that I do as a DC, I have to do mileage on as a counselor. I can't do a fixed amount, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's either all mileage or one fixed amount.
Yes, flat rate or mileage, not both. Okay, moving on.
Steve had a question, right? Did you
Well,
say?
I just wanted to double check because I thought I was hearing something different. Is that still one reimbursement form, or does Charles have 2 reimbursement forms now?
Well, I have
One
two
is a
different
counselor and
reimbursement
the other
forms.
is a district
Separate
coordinator.
reimbursement forms.
Yeah, separate
That
assignment.
is
One
what
for
we're
each
doing
assignment,
now
yeah.
instead of just one.
Yes,
Yeah, even if I do 3 different sites as a counselor, those are 3 different reimbursement forms.
Yes.
Last year, I had,
Oh
I
my
worked
God.
at 3 sites or 4 sites for Steve and somebody else, and I had multiple things, because I was the counselor. And it was being reviewed by whoever the local coordinator was there. They approved my reimbursement.
So when I, for example, when I go prepare taxes, you know, I do my mileage as a counselor, and it's my LC who approves it, even though everything else gets approved by a guy in Washington DC. I mean, that's just the way the system works.
So I could potentially have a lot of forms.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was last year was at a meeting, Montana State meeting. There was a guy who worked at 7 sites. I can tell you how pleased he was about this new procedure.
Or what's your question
So,
back there?
I just got confused. I'm a DC and a local coordinator,
And a counselor.
and a counselor too. Okay, if I put in mileage in order to do my local coordinator job, who approves that? Do I approve that as DC?
DC.
No, that gets escalated to.
Okay, so it always goes up to the highest person, no
At
matter
least
what.
that's the way that it's supposed to work. You
Okay.
should not be approving your own.
Okay, yeah,
I say supposed to because I've actually seen situations where that hasn't worked. And in that case, the portal, where you get a notice that you're supposed to approve your own thing, either just let Bob know,
Okay.
or just sit on it for a week and it'll escalate to Bob.
okay.
Rita, do you have a pre-approval on here at all?
Yeah, she
Okay. Okay, so let's go through the new pre-approval. I'm gonna say yes, or continue.
I do have one for you.
That's okay, I'll delete it. If it works. It's gonna work. Everything's gonna work today because we're going home. Okay, again, here's where you're gonna select what hat you're playing. So whatever we're gonna say administration specialist again. I think I'm losing my place. And you want to click on that assignment ID. So this kind of answers the question of what if you're a counselor, what if you're an LC? Like I said, if you do not have the correct job description, you need to be speaking with Rita. She can give that to you. If you're nice. And you buy her a coffee. Okay. So we know what we're doing it for. We want to put in a description. What would you do it for, Rita? Let's see. We probably don't have
A
this.
cart.
Okay, we're going to do it for a cart. Just make my life easier. Yeah, me too. Okay, expense date. Bob, is that just today since
Yeah.
we're submitting it or
Yeah, I'd
saving
just point
it?
out that when you know you're in pre-approval if you've got the green banners.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
See how it's all green, the green banners everywhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good to know.
And we're doing it for, let's say, an instructor workshop. Because she doesn't want to carry in 70 computers. I'm just going to put cardigan and make it easy. And our amount, how much does a cart cost? 80 bucks?
Something like that.
Okay, the only reason I'm doing this is because we've exceeded the cap. Is that right, Bob, of how much we can spend?
This is an RFZ
Because it's an
expenditure.
RFC expense,
Right.
and every RFC expense requires pre-approval.
Now, does it matter
Regardless
that
of
there
you.
wasn't a space to put RFC in there?
Now, that's going to automatically, right? Well, that's a good question. Does it?
What's the funding code?
The funding code
It's
is
gonna
under
be
your,
Federal grants, so don't worry about it.
yeah, you don't have to worry about that anymore like we used to.
Regional fund, you got a choice.
Yeah.
As long as you have saved it or created the record underneath the correct role that you have, the assignment number that we clicked on, you should be okay.
Well, there's a choice.
Sure.
You have a choice?
Yep, district coordinator, federal grant, coordinator, regional fund.
Yeah.
Regional funds.
So if this is a pre-approval, example,
It's an extension, Sarah, you gotta go
Okay.
farther.
something like
Yeah.
that.
You're talking about right here.
Yeah,
Regional fund.
so it's gonna be regional funds.
Okay,
Yep.
Well,
I see. Maybe I see.
So let me pose a situation. This primarily is for stuff that's not in section 10 that you're pre-authorized to go ahead and
Pre-approval.
submit an expenditure.
No.
It has to be in section 10, I believe, or you have to have approval from your
And
SC.
For us, primarily, it is mileage for your counselors that exceed the state cap.
And that state
I
cap
see
is-
more of those than anything else.
And Bob, what is your state cap
Our
here?
state cap is $450. Another one of my slides I don't have to deal with now.
Okay.
We're shortening my presentation.
All right, sorry.
But we have $450 as our expenditure cap for mileage. And we have a sizable number of our counselors. Sam's got a couple, Donna's got a couple, folks who drive a long way. And they have learned how to do the pre-approval.
Yep.
So do those expenses now come out of the regional fund?
No.
That was the
Those are federal grant funds.
Okay, but we're just changing this because it's a cart.
Yeah.
So I see what your point is.
The question I was trying to get answer to is, because a cart is not in section 10,
Right.
Right,
not authorized.
right,
Therefore, it's probably regional grant.
right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
That's what's shown up
it is in section 10. All of this is in section 10. It's what section or subsection, section 10,
Right.
to be technical. But carts are not, cannot be paid out of like the IRS grant.
The way this really works
RFC
for
carts.
those kind of expenditures is, you send me an email, Paul sends me an email. I need a cart, okay? Paul will have to negotiate for regional funds, I'll put it on the list. I get Bob's approval of thing, and I get back to Paul and say, Paul, you're gonna get your cart. Now fill this out, and here's how to fill it out, and send it on to Bob. And Bob and I then have a conversation, and I say, I'm fine with Paul's cart. Approve the damn thing.
And this is a page that Rita had up before, not Rita,
Sarah.
whoever you are.
That person. He buys me dinners and he forgets me.
Roy, the top part is code Z. This part is RFZ, and under RFC, it says carts. And it's just, the difference between Z and RFC is I have to pre-approve all the RFZ expenses, which I will.
And it does come out of regional funds.
And those come out of the regional funds. Z expenses do not.
They come out of the
The
federal.
only things that come out of this regional budget we have are the RFC expenses, state meeting expenses, and instructor workshop expenses. Those are the only three categories. And all expenses that are coded in as an M, W, or RFC get charged against the regional budget. Nothing else does. Well, there's some exceptions, but we don't need to get into that. It really affects me